Hello and welcome to a bit of a different episode for the Irish Artisan Yarn podcast. This is going to be more like a how-to video. So this is going to be how you can take your skein of yarn, of hand-dyed yarn, and turn it into a ball or a cake ready for working. If you have been knitting and crocheting for many years, you will not need to watch this video. But recently I have had lots of questions of how do you take this and turn it into this? And I thought I should do a video to talk about the different options. So if you don't know, I'm Tara and I'm the owner and hand dyer behind Irish Artisan Yarn. You can find me over on Instagram and Facebook under Irish Artisan Yarn, and also on the website www.irishartisanyarn.com. And I am located in Northern Ireland, Bangor County Down, and I usually have a podcast with different things I'm making, behind the scenes, chatting, and also going to do some how-to videos as well, along with different pattern ideas. But let's get started. So this one is, what do you do when you get that hand-dyed skein and you want to start working and you've never used hand-dyed yarn before, and you must always wind this into a ball. If you do not do that step, it will end up in a tangled mess. So a step not to miss. So you've just purchased your lovely hand-dyed skein. Could be a mini skein, could be a big skein. I'm going to wind this one. This is our slub. This is the colourway Grease. This is our merino slub, and I love it because I'm about to make, hopefully, a summer top in this. So I thought I'd wind this and show you. There's two different options I'm going to talk about today. There is how to wind it when you have no equipment and you'll end up with a ball. This is a mini, but you'll end up with a little yarn ball. Here's one I made earlier. And then the other option is if you have the equipment, which I'll talk you through, you'll end up with a yarn cake. And they are the two different ones I'm going to chat about today. If you are wanting to do the second option, you will need a few different things. So first of all, you will need, now obviously loads of different, I don't sell them, but loads of different online businesses, local yarn shops will sell these. Ball winders, wool winders, and a skein holder. If you don't want to invest in any of those, you can do it on the back of a chair, so don't worry, and just a little bit longer with your hands. So we'll talk about the different bits and then I'll maybe show you the two different options. So these are the ones I use. I have quite a few different ball winders. I'm actually going to show you, I have a more expensive one, but I'm actually going to show you. So this is the one that a lot of people have bought online, a very cheap and cheerful wool winder. I would probably recommend, if you're going to do this long term, investing in a slightly more expensive one because they just have more longevity. You can get beautiful wooden ones. But I'm going to show you this one purely for the basis that the sort of basic teepee one is what some people start with if this is their first time. So it comes like this. This is going to be your bobbin, and it is also very easy to set up, this one. But you're basically going to... see if I can show you. All the instructions are in the box, but basically this is what a wool winder looks like. If you're brand new to winding wool, your yarn is going to go through here, it's clamped onto the table and it will spin, and that will then make the ball. So that is what you need, along with a skein holder. You can also do that with someone holding it, but I think it's easier with a skein holder. Again, I bought this online. I did have a beautiful wooden one and then I broke it. So a very good friend of mine, Claire, recommended this one, and I have to say it's been brilliant. So this is what it looks like, and then when you open it, I remember these at university. I did textiles at university, but basically it looks like this, almost like a big umbrella. And the idea is that this will hold your skein, and then as you're winding your ball, it will spin. So you can also just buy one of these and then wind your ball by hand. So there's a few different options. But if we start with how you know what to do with your skein when it arrives like this, then I'll chat you through, because there's a few different steps you have to do before you get onto this. So those are the different equipments I'll be chatting about today. So first of all, when you have your skein, you will usually, most hand-dyed yarn comes like this in a skein, and you'll obviously take the label off. I would always keep the label because then you know what the yarn is. I know that's very obvious, but don't throw it away. Now you will see all skeins have been hanked, skein twisted like this. Usually you'll find at the end you can just pop it through. This is how and then you'll see, and basically it'll unravel and it will create effectively a big sort of hula hoop of yarn. And the yarn is continuous, and this is why you cannot knit from this, because you will start to tangle it. So you get home and you think, what do I do with this? So On the skein, you will see there are loads of different ties. Now, I actually keep all my ties on. Some dyers cut them. I keep them just so that the skein stays less tangled when people are finding the ends, but it's totally up to you. Usually there's like 3, 4, sometimes 5, but basically what you'll do is you will go along. I'm going to show you there. You will find the tie. So there's a tie there, and we'll keep going. And one of the ties, I have to find it now, is linked to both ends of the skein. See if we can find it. Dun, dun, dun. It's going to be the last one, isn't it? Yes. The last one I found. Always the way. So how many are actually on here? 1, 2, 3, 5. So 5. So the 5th one. So you will see that this tie has the actual yarn. The reason I chose this was because this is a slub yarn. I'm going to show you. The tie is actually in a smooth, hopefully you can see that. So this is my working yarn that I'm going to wind into a ball, and this is the smooth yarn, which is the yarn tie, which you do not need. So what I always recommend is finding that first, because that is the one you want to cut last. And this is how I do it. Every dyer will do it differently. This is how we did it. I studied hand dyeing and weaving and textiles at university. This is how we did it, preparing our yarn. So what you want to do, you want to decide how you're going to do it. There's a few different options. If you don't have any of the equipment I showed you, you can have a lovely volunteer stand and hold it like this, which, you know, if you're doing one skein's fine, probably not if you're going to do about 10, but they can just sit with their arms, and just as long as they have it where it is not all sort of going to get tangled and twisted. So basically, if you don't have anyone to hold it, you would use the back of the chair like this, because it's perfect, because it means that the yarn will not get all tangled. So that is one option, where you just drape it over the back of the chair and then you'll be able to wind it into a ball. But I'm going to show you how I would do it with my skein holder. So I've changed the angle so you can see a bit better what I'm going to do. So like I said to you, you have these ties on the yarn, and everyone can do it differently. I just do it when I'm holding it. You can put it on your yarn holder. You need a pair of little scissors, little snips, and lovely customer bought these for me. You're basically going to snip all these ties that are holding your skein together, apart from the tie that is the starting point. So I'm just doing this. So I'm going around, I'm double checking. How you double check? You just pull out the edge, and if you see that there's nothing attached to it like this, you know that that is just holding it in place. That is not actually the beginning or the end of your skein. Because for example, we'll go to the beginning and end one, which is here. You can see when I pull that out, there's 4 strands of yarn, and you can clearly see 2 are smooth, so that's the tie, and these 2 are the working yarn. So I'm going to go back, I'm going to cut here, and one more, and that has freed up my whole skein of all the ties apart from the starting one. Then I would come over, and I'm going to just angle it up a bit, come over here to my skein holder, pop it on. This is where you just have to have a little bit of practice if you haven't used one before. So you pop it on, then you bring it up because of the tension, and you want it under tension like this so that it doesn't sort of get all sloppy and tangled. You want to make sure that it's not twisted. You can also pop it on first and then cut the ties. Everyone does it differently. I was just doing that so you could see more clearly. Then you find your starting point, which is here, and you snip the tie thread. This is how I do it. Obviously everyone does it differently. And then you will see very clearly, I wanted to show you, there you go. So this is your yarn that you're going to be skein winding, and then this is your tie. So you can actually, they've been tied all together in a knot, you'll see. So if I just snip there, it'll end with 2 yarn, 2 threads. One is the end of the hank or skein, and one is the beginning. So what I always recommend is, if you look around, you'll see this thread is very easily pulling away from the top of the skein. So that's the one you want to use to wind into a ball. The other one, you will see is sitting behind. Hopefully you can see that okay on the video. This one is sitting behind. You can see it's a bit tight. I don't want to pull from that because that's going to make life very awkward and also just not easy for you to wind into a ball. So we're going to take this one, which is coming away freely. If you didn't have a ball winder, you would literally just start wrapping it around, winding it by a ball. Some people wrap around a piece of cardboard, but I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. Over here, we're going to slide the camera over and we're going to attach it here to our ball winder. So like I said, this is the very sort of low cost one. They're relatively all the same sort of format. The wooden ones are beautiful, but again, if you're starting out, this is sort of the lower budget. This is your tension pole, tension rod. Don't know if that's a technical term. You need to clamp it to a table. Both are clamped to this table. You can see a little bit moving there, so I need to tighten it up a bit. I'm just going to move it in a bit because I didn't push that in quite enough. And then we will tighten it up. Hopefully this angle's okay for this video. It's quite difficult to show you and chat. But you're basically going to, I'm going to bring you closer. You are basically going to thread it through this tension bit, and then you will see which way, depending which way you turn the handle, you'll see I always get this wrong, so it doesn't really matter, but whichever way you wrap it round, make sure, so I need to go that way to wind the ball. So you will see that the yarn is coming from your skein holder and then it's coming all the way over to your ball winder and you're going to start winding a ball. Now, you can do this quite fast, you know, when you get in the rhythm of it, you'll see I'm literally winding away and it's coming away really freely. I would recommend keeping it a very smooth pace, because if you start going really, really fast and really, really slow, the tension on the ball does change and you don't really want that. Especially if this is your first time winding a ball, I would recommend just going a bit slower. So I'm going to pause the video here, wind the ball, and then I'll show you what we've got at the end. So we're coming to the end, and I just wanted to give you a few tips in case this is your first time. One tip is don't let that yarn that you're winding drop below, because if you start wrapping it round here at the bottom here of the ball winder, this is when you will get into a tangled mess because it starts twisting around the mechanism. So if, for example, it drops like this, you just need to guide it up and make sure it's taut so that when you start winding, your yarn is being wound into the ball and not into this mechanism cog at the bottom. The other few tips that I just thought I would point out, just as we're doing this skein holder, which I absolutely love, does have metal edges, which hopefully you can see in the video, they're almost like little hooks, which I do sometimes find the yarn can get caught on if you sort of stop or things. So and I quite like doing this just for even tension, I would always hold my yarn in my hand. I would never leave it like this freely and let it wind. It's force of habit. I've always done it like this. Everyone does it differently, but I always just guide the yarn with my hand. Also just to make sure there's no sort of knots or, well, it's quite hard as long as it's slub yarn, but you know, just sort of guiding it, because if I let go, it can sometimes get a bit caught. Not always, but I just find it easier to keep it at the same tension and also make sure that it's not getting tangled around the ball winder. So we are nearly at the end. I wanted to show you what happens at the very, very end. So we're nearly there. You can see that the yarn is on the ball winder, turning into a really nice cake. Here we go. We are nearly at the end. And this skein has been wound really well. And there we go. And that's it. And the yarn just disappears. You can pop your skein winder down. So this is what you're left with. I'm going to bring you forward and show you. Hopefully this video is helpful if you're a beginner. This is your ball or cake of yarn. Now, there are two different options for knitting with this. Taking it off, I'm going to show you. So this is your outside yarn, which will just hang here. And you can see just in there is your inside thread. I hooked that on at the very beginning. So that is your middle thread. So when you take the cake off, you're literally just going to sort of push in the middle and slide it off. And that is your ball of yarn. There are two options. You can either knit from the outside one, which is here, and that just sits along the outside, or if it's wound really, really well and no tangles, you can have a centre pull ball, and that's what sometimes people talk about online, and you would knit from the inside. I might do the outside on this just because it's a slub texture, it might be easier just in case it did get tangled. But that is how you create a ball or cake of yarn from a skein. Hopefully you have found that helpful. Obviously, if you don't have a skein holder and a ball winder, like I said, you can just do it by hand. So if this is your skein, this is a mini skein, again, you would go through, cut the ties the exact same way, get someone to hold it, pop it on the back of a chair, and you would literally just go around winding it into a ball. Equally works as well. Obviously it takes a bit more time, but some people enjoy that process. Getting all tangled up now. And you would end up with a ball. But if it's your first time and you're wanting to invest in a skein holder and a ball winder, if you're going to be knitting with more hand-dyed yarn or crocheting, I would highly recommend it. And then you end up with a beautiful yarn cake at the end of it. And this is going to go into, I think, a summer top. So watch this space, and thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this helpful. I'm very aware that if you have been knitting and crocheting for years, you will know how to do this. But there are so many people picking up knitting, coming back to knitting, and haven't ever used hand-dyed yarn, so I just thought it'd be a helpful video. Let me know if this was of use to you. If you'd like me to talk about anything else, I was thinking about doing some more how-tos in terms of caring for your knits, maybe a blocking video, because I know there's different ways to block. And yeah, anything else you would like to know, tips and tricks, maybe. I know that some people have come from straight knitting needles to circular knitting needles, so lots of different ideas, but please do let me know in the comments below, and if you don't subscribe, I would be really grateful if you could, as it just helps get the YouTube channel out there. Thanks so much for watching, and enjoy whatever you end up making.